Hi first graders, we are here with our last habitat of this unit. Tomorrow is your assessment, so you are going to be listening to a brand new story. I think I'm going to choose a funny one this time, and you'll have to text me your answers. I can't wait to see that. But today we are talking about the saltwater habitat. Here's our friend Rattenborough to teach us more. We're going to learn about another kind of water habitat, a saltwater habitat. Saltwater habitats, as you can guess from their name, contain lots of salt. That means that we can't use salt water for drinking. Would you like to drink a cup of salty water? No thanks. It's hard to imagine, but more of the earth is covered in water than is covered in land. Most of the water is saltwater in oceans and seas. Oceans are huge areas of saltwater that stretch all around our planet. You remember the name of our planet. What's it called? That's right, it's the Earth. They're home to almost half of the world's species of animals and millions of different plants. The water in the ocean comes from rain as well as from rivers and streams that flow into the ocean. Seas are similar areas of saltwater that have land all around them or around part of them. I've come to the largest ocean, the Pacific Ocean, to show you a bit more about ocean habitats and the plants and animals that live in them. I'm standing on the beach looking out into the water. You can see the waves are crashing into the beach. This beach and any land that runs along the ocean is called coastline. Can you say that? Coastline. You may think that when you're standing on the land looking at the land stops where the water starts. It certainly looks that way, right? It looks like land, water. But let me get my trusty scuba gear out and I'll walk into the water. Now I'm in here, I'm still standing on land, and it's just that the land is under the water. The land slopes downwards the farther I go out into the water, which means the water is getting deeper and deeper. The interesting thing about the ocean floor, which is the land under the ocean water, is that it isn't flat. As on land, the earth beneath the ocean waters has both mountains and valleys. This makes some areas of the water in the ocean deeper than others. The Pacific Ocean is full of both plant and animal life, but not all of them share the same space. The conditions under the water are very different in various places. Some parts are deep and some parts are shallow. These are cold parts and there's warm parts. Some are dark and some are full of light. There are plants and animals in nearly every part of the ocean. Some in the deep open waters far from the land, and some in the shallow water closer to the shore. Some animals, like turtles, jellyfish, crabs live closer to the shore where it's shallower. Some animals like it better near the surface of the water, and others prefer to dive down very to the bottom, to the ocean floor. They all have had to adapt to the conditions of the deep ocean. For example, animals that live in the deeper part of the ocean have had to adapt to total darkness because the sun's light just can't reach that deep. Some fish, like the devilfish, have very large mouths and sharp teeth so that they can catch their prey as early as possible. Other sea creatures have feelers on the body that help them feel where they're going, and some animals make their own light with a special chemical in their body. It's kind of like carrying a flashlight in the dark. I have now arrived at a specific part of the saltwater habitat called the coral reef, which is made up of many tiny animals called coral. Corals stay in one place all their adult lives. They have stomachs and mouths and even skeletons. These skeletons can be on the inside or outside of the coral animals and are also called coral. When the coral animal dies, its skeleton remains in place. The other coral animals will come and live on top of the old skeletons. The colony in which the coral lives is called the coral reef. I'm here in the Pacific Ocean scuba diving the coral reef. There are lots of other animals around the reef. I found everything from fish and shellfish to octopi and sharks to snails and turtles. Here's an animal that lies in and around the coral reef, whose name most of you can probably guess based on its shape. It's a starfish. This starfish, is also known as a sea star, has 5 arms, which makes it look like a star. Although it's called a starfish, it's not actually a fish. It belongs to a group of animals that have spiny skin all over their bodies. If I touch the starfish, I can feel its body is covered with tiny hard bumps that helped it protect it from predators such as sharks, rays, and other fish. Starfish are also able to protect themselves in another amazing way. If another animal actually catches and bites one of the starfish's arms, the starfish will not die. It can still escape. In time, a new arm will grow back to replace the missing arm. When an animal regrows a missing body part, it's called regeneration. The starfish doesn't swim. It crawls very slowly along the ocean floor using hundreds of tiny tube feet. These feet attach to whatever the starfish is crawling over. As it crawls along the floor, the starfish is always on the lookout for food. The starfish prey includes fish, snails, clams, oysters, and crabs. Here's another animal that lives in the salt water. This shellfish is called a lobster. Lobsters live on the ocean floor in openings between rocks. Their hand shell stops most other animals from trying to eat them. The lobsters have many legs they use for crawling about, and they use an antenna on their head to feel their way along the murky ocean floor. I have to watch out for that lobster's claws. They're called pinchers, and they're very strong. The lobster uses them to defend itself against prey and to catch and crush its own food. Lobsters are carnivores. They eat fish, worms, and other shellfish. I'm going to move out of the way of this lobster before I get squeezed. Looks like I moved right into the path of another predator. This is a hammerhead shark. If you take a look, you can see how the hammerhead got its name. Its head is very thick and looks like a hammer from above, with an eye and a nostril on each end. The hammerhead shark is a large fish growing about to 20 feet long and weighing over 500 pounds. That's about the same weight as 10 first graders. Hammerheads like to live in warm water, so they are mostly found near the coast where the waters are shallow and warmer. Sharks are also carnivores. The hammerhead's favorite food is a fish called a ray, but it also likes to eat octopus, lobster, crab, and fish, including other sharks. Most sharks have smooth, slender bodies, which help them to swim fast. Their mouths are full of sharp teeth to help them catch their prey. Let's get back up to the surface. There's a sea animal I'm sure you'll want to see, but we have to travel farther out to sea, away from the coral reef and into the deeper water to see it. The amazing creature is the biggest animal in the world. This is the blue whale. Blue whales have blue-gray skin and are covered in a layer of blubber that helps them keep warm in the ocean depths. Do you remember what other animals had blubber? We learned about it when we talked about the Arctic. Blue whales are so big that they can weigh as much as 25 elephants. In fact, blue whales are the biggest animals known to have lived on Earth, even bigger than dinosaurs. Blue whale spends all its time living in deep water, but unlike fish, it can't breathe underwater because it doesn't have any gills. The blue whale has to hold its breath and stay underwater for as long as 30 minutes before eventually coming up for air. It breathes using its blowholes on the top of its head, and sometimes when it does come up for air, it breathes out a huge fountain of water from the blowholes. Blue whales are carnivores. They eat lots of food to build up their blubber during the summer months when food is easy to find. Blue whales eat teeny tiny sea creatures called plankton. The plankton that the blue whales eat are small shrimp-like shellfish that are about the size of your little finger. It's incredible to think that the biggest animal on Earth eats one of the smallest animals on Earth. The ocean is so huge and deep that we could spend all year looking at the plants and animals that live there and still not see them all. In fact, there are so many living things that people have not even discovered yet. I hope you enjoyed learning about all the animals in the saltwater habitat in the Pacific Ocean. I still have one more stop to make on our worldwide tour. I'll see you next time. Awesome, Bright Stars. I loved learning about the saltwater habitat. I have a few questions. Remember, you can talk about it with a family member or you can write it down. Here's my first question. How would you describe the ocean floor? Is it flat and level or does it go up and down? What are some of the ways that animals have adapted to the saltwater habitat? What are some of the ways that animals adapted to the saltwater habitat? And my last question, what animal is this? Blue whales eat teeny tiny shrimp-like animals called plankton. Is the blue whale a carnivore, omnivore, or herbivore? Is it a carnivore, omnivore, or herbivore? Herbivore. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see these answers and see your responses for tomorrow's assignment, okay? I also hope I got to see some of you on our Zoom call too. I'll talk to you soon.